Live from the Washington, D.C. area, it's the Inside Scoop. All the news that our viewers want to know. Now, here's the host.
Good evening and welcome to the Inside Scoop, right here on Fairfax Public Access Television. I'm your host, Rafael Arancibia, and I am genuinely glad you're with us tonight. We talk a lot about what makes a community feel like home, and I think it comes down to this. The places where we gather, not because we have to, but because something calls us to be there. And the arts are that call. They're not a luxury. They're the connective tissue of our community life. The spaces where neighbors become friends and strangers sit beside one another in the dark and feel something together. Tonight, two extraordinary organizations have answered that call right here in Northern Virginia, the Mason District Arts Council and the Reunion Music Society. My guests tonight will tell you everything, and I promise you their stories are worth staying for. So don't go anywhere. The Inside Scoop starts right now. My first guest tonight has been building something really remarkable, and he has been doing it entirely on the power of volunteers, neighbors, and a shared belief that the arts belong to everyone. James Albright is the chair of the Mason District Arts Council and a volunteer arts organization founded in 2024 with a mission to build community around the arts across all the diverse and vibrant neighborhoods here in Mason District, right here in Fairfax County. James, you've already put on some extraordinary and truly fantastic talents, and I want to hear all of it straight from you. So welcome to the Inside Scoop.
Thank you, Rafael.
So, James, let's start at the very beginning with the Mason District Arts Council. You started it in 2024. And that's a very recent thing. So what was the inception? What made you say that we need to build this? Why now?
So it's only been a couple of years, so I don't think of it as being like the end, the pinnacle of its success yet. We are building something. As a professional artist, I've seen a lot of different communities, how they incorporate the arts in their lives, in their activities, travel a lot. And so I was aware of the fact that in Fairfax it felt like we didn't have as much as we could have had. It's a community it's a wealthy community. It's a very large space. It has all kinds of different things going on, but it didn't feel like at the ground level there was a lot of appreciation or like involvement with the arts. And so a couple years ago I decided, why don't we address that, like at a local level, because I think that's where an individual like myself can have an impact. I don't worry so much about the higher levels. I'm more focused on like, what can I do in my neighborhood, in my community, with my people? So there was a change in leadership, and I spoke to the new incoming supervisor, and we decided that what I would try to do is create an ad hoc group to look at what actually was needed in the community. So I had my personal opinions, but that's just me, and I don't represent everybody in the community. So we pulled together a group of people, and for 6 months we did a discernment process of figuring out what is needed in our area of Fairfax, Mason District. And so we came up with a set of about 6 different items that we felt were needed, which was like galleries and studio spaces, public art, the opportunity to connect and meet together with other artists. And then we just set forth and started doing those things. The first one we decided to do, we gave ourselves a good lead time, was the 2025 Mason Arts Festival. We thought should have an arts festival that's focused on community. I can talk more about that as we go along, but so that was a very successful festival. At the same time, we started doing happy hours. We started reaching out to different groups in the community to sort of build a stronger set of participants. And then this year we just completed the Mason Arts 250, which is a whole separate activity around the 4th of July, the 250th anniversary of the United States. And then now we're moving on to our next festival. So lots of things. That is
great, because that goes into my next question. And volunteering on this program, the Inside Scoop, it's a very volunteer-driven group of people dedicated to this. But so the Mason District Arts Council is also entirely volunteer-run. So how do you recruit people for that? You've talked about the happy hour, but also the ability to expose their art and share that with the local community we live in. So how do you get them to come and participate, and how do you keep them coming back?
So I'm retired, and I did a lot of things in my my life, and a lot of them involved working and getting people together to do things. So there are some principles that you have to have. One is you have to do meaningful work. So there are a lot of people. There are 160,000 people in the Mason district. So some of them are artists, and some of them are interested in participating in an organization. So you have to just put out on the table, these are things we're going to do, and we're going to work successfully and steadily at doing these things. You will then attract people. So you don't, it's not like you do an open recruitment for people. You just start working on projects. Projects worked together collectively build community. So that's whatever activity, a television station, an arts program. So my goal has been to have regularly scheduled activities, to build community with the people we're working with, and to make people feel connected and that we care about them. So one of the things we do at each of our monthly meetings is we share what everybody's doing artistically in their life. So regardless of where they sit at the table, everybody goes around and says, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, come to my event and do my thing, because they need to be validated for what they're doing. From a practical perspective, I host monthly meetings with agendas, and it's always an hour and a half long. People hate meetings. I don't really hate meetings, but I know that they can be really horribly boring. So I try to live just an hour and a half, and then at an hour and a half we stop. And that way nobody feels like they sat through a 4-hour meeting to do something. And then also everything we do is very outcome oriented. So very specific about what we're going to focus on and talk about. So I have a very active, busy agenda, and I bring in people from different organizations to talk about what they're working on. So we have a lot of participation from the county side, but also a lot of artists and participants. Another piece about it is, as a visual artist, I could focus just on painting or 3D art, but really the arts community is a collective of different groups. So we have people who are musical performers, theater, visual artists, poets, dancers. We try to cover the whole range of art forms as part of the committee. So therefore, it's not just an art guild that's focused on painting.
I love that, because it's about diversity, and Mason District is one of the most diverse districts in Northern Virginia and Fairfax County. You have the most diverse zip codes. We have Annandale, Bailey's Crossroads, Culmore, Lincolnia, Seven Corners. We have well over 100 languages that are spoken here, and each of them bring different shapes of cultural perspectives and music and understanding and stories, and they all connect and create this really interesting melting pot of artistic potential. Mm-hmm. And I love how that you've really tapped into that and helped bring not only just these different cultures in one medium, but across multiple mediums. And I love that. So how does that help enhance the extraordinary shape of diversity that's represented in your organization?
So I appreciate the enthusiasm for working with diverse communities. I wouldn't think we're there yet. And so one of the things that I do for my personal vision is I reach out to different communities, different people I see, I follow, and try to bring them into our activities. But you're absolutely right. Mason District is a really complicated, diverse environment. At this point, we're doing everything in English. At this point, we're mostly people who are retired, but not exclusively. And I'm well aware, when we do our festival, I reach out and we had a festival of 29 different participants, art presenters, and then several of them were ones I invited individually to come to the event. When I set up the spaces for them, I put some people together and across from other people, and they ended up having conversations, and they would build their own community from that.
You know what, I love how this delves into the next part, where it does take some support from leadership, where Supervisor Jimenez was a very visible supporter of the Mason District Arts Council, and he was present at your first arts festival in October 2025, and a couple of our volunteers here on this Inside Scoop crew helped with the audio production there.
And I believe it was you. I believe it was you,
I was one
Rafael,
of them, and our
okay.
technical director was also there as well. But that's part and parcel of going out to different art organizations and communities and asking for help. And we're more than happy to give of ourselves. And Arts Fairfax was an important key partner in that as well. So what institutional support does that mean for a volunteer organization like yours?
So it's a really critical thing to understand. We have a lot of resources and a lot of human resources people can do things, right? We don't have to ask for money. We don't have to ask for space and time. We just start putting stuff together. And so, for example, Arts Fairfax, amazingly helpful. Supervisor's office, amazingly helpful, but also other groups that are out there are very, very helpful. And everybody has a piece they bring to the table. So the goal for me is really, what is it that you can do? How can you participate? Who can you ask? How can we put it together? It's like, I have a barn, I have a blanket, we can put on a show. That's the fundamental premise behind it. So people have different things, different skills they bring to this table. The other piece is I don't actually just concern myself with all the potentials. I think every person has what they can do, and that's what we ask them to do. We don't ask them to do more than that, to go beyond that. People are willing to do what they can at the time. Right.
So there's so much to talk about, and I wanted to talk about some of the fantastic artists. We have a Grammy award-winning music teacher, Annie Ray. You had a maestro, the cellist, who performed in Adam Busker's, the 6-string players from Annandale High School. But I really want to talk about about a minute that we have left, the 150 people that you brought to your June 7th America Celebrates 250 at St. Paul's Episcopal Church.
So Nova Lights is an organization that we partnered with. That was their show, and we made it part of the Mason Arts 250. And full credit to them for having organized that activity. But we sort of co-branded with them. But that's the kind of thing we do, which is like Providence Players, Nova Lights, Annandale High School. Who can we partner with? Who can we bring together to make an event happen? And I can talk more about that if you'd like. But there's a huge amount of talent in this community, and we just have to sort of find it and work with it.
Wow. And there is so much depth here, and I think that's one of the parts about our knowledge economy, that there's so many people that operate at a high level, that they also need high level entertainment and hobbies, and I think it's so very value added. So there's so much more to this conversation still ahead. Coming up in segment 2, we're going to dig more into Mason Arts 250, what the Mason District Arts Council has planned for America's 250th birthday, and exactly how you can get involved. So don't go anywhere. The Inside Scoop will be right back after these messages.
Okay, so we drowned the fire, stirred it, drowned it again, and now just feel if it's cold.
Yeah.
Cool.
Smokey just gave me a bear hug.
I know. I already posted it.
I got a creak in my neck, limp in my step, cramping in my muscles every time I try to flex. But if you throw me love, I'll throw you some more.
It's a big responsibility.
Oh, it's huge. I know, it's huge.
And the salary.
Oh my god, yes. I mean,
Right.
like, I was about to move in with my parents, and right before, so this saved me.
I really believe in you, you know?
Thank you. It's nice to hear that from someone.
These are cool. Did you, what did
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back to the Inside Scoop on Fairfax Public Access. I'm Rafael Arancibia, and we're continuing our conversation with Chair of the Mason District Arts Council, and we're just getting to the heart of things. James, let's talk about Mason Arts 250. Tell our viewers what that is.
So thank you. So we just concluded the 4th of July, the semi-quincentennial of the United States. About 6 or 7 months ago, the council decided to start thinking about what could we do in our little corner of the county to look at the 250th anniversary. And not so much as a celebration or a commemoration, but just how can we as artists engage with the ideas of that? And so out of that conversation was born the idea of, like, when the founders set up the nation, they imagined a future for the country. They didn't know what the country would be, but they imagined a future. So as artists, one of the challenges is, and one of the things we bring to the table is, we can help people imagine. We ourselves can imagine what the future is. So we focused on reimagining America going forward. Part of that then was coming up with a series of activities that people wanted to participate in. So this is sort of that ecumenical perspective of the different groups, because we had 2 concerts, we had a poetry contest, we had a 1-act play contest, we had a community mural, and we had created a wishing tree. All this process over 3 or 4 months of work. And each one of those was a different type of activity. We mentioned one already. One was a Nova Lights concert that they put on as sort of our first activity. But then we followed up with another big concert with Annie Ray. We followed up with, and at the same time, poetry contest at that same time. And then all the activities took place over the course of a month. We finished all of them, except now we're going to be hanging a mural that we created the last weekend. We're going to hang that mural in Annandale. It's a 12-foot by 6-foot mural, a very beautiful mural. That'll be based on the New Colossus by Emma Lazarus. So that was a big community activity we did.
Wow. So that is amazing. And I love how there's the references to other longer existing art, great art, but also it brings in, I don't want to say small art because it implies that it's somehow lesser, but more intimate art, more personal art. Art that may not necessarily have the legs to be seen and heard around the world. Because it's, as much as I love hearing about Grammy Award winning artists, but it's something really special when you can find some really great talents in our own backyard that might not have the same visibility or amplification. So I love that. Now, the June 13th concert was titled America the Beautiful at 250, Reimagining the Future Through Music and Poetry. So that subtitle, Reimagining the Future, I think that's a bold choice. It goes right back into this promise of the country where it's a future that we can keep building on towards, and it's always a continuing act of building. So what do you mean by that?
So, as I said, reimagining is taking our place today and thinking. So, part of it is like it's been a challenging 250 years in our history, right? And so the question becomes, some things aren't actually worth celebrating. Some things are challenges that we met, and the Declaration of Independence laid the groundwork for that work. So we have to continue that work of bending the arc towards justice. And so part of that, in this case, is music. And what was beautiful about this was so the Grammy Award-winning educator, Annie Ray, she lives in Annandale. And so she was a willing participant in putting together a concert that included a full range of participants and music. That part is celebratory. And at the same time, the music was juxtaposed with the winners of our poetry contest that was held also around Emma Lazarus's The New Colossus. And so it was just sort of an opportunity for people to get together in communion, to hear good music, and to think about the creative process. And so the America the Beautiful that was actually played was rearranged by Ms. Ray's husband, who was a professional musician with the Army Band. And so it was really a beautiful kind of moment, and it was great for all these different groups in the community to be together. We located it at John Calvin Presbyterian Church, which is an example of an art incubator in our community. It's a church that has really stepped up and started to participate in the arts They have a very dynamic leader, and so we've started to do activities there as well, because it's in the heart of the community. So it's using a resource that they have, which in this case was space, and the talents of the different participants, and us putting it all together. And that was what we did for each of the different 6 activities, was putting together people, putting together ideas.
I love how there's these seemingly disparate elements of our community, but they all find that connection through arts in one or multiple ways. So part of your Mason Arts 250 is that you had a poetry contest, and the 3 poets that premiered their original works on the June 13th concert at the John Calvin Presbyterian Church. Tell us about that. I mean, what for the community members to be able to give their own voice in their own words.
So we actually had 2 writing activities. One was the poetry contest, and actually the winner was P.J. Gross, who you might have heard of that poet.
A friend of mine.
A friend of yours. And so she had the chance to read her poem between the different pieces, and it was very moving. The work is moving. It's also on our website. You can see the actual original poems. We also did the following weekend a series of 1-acts and historical reenactments that were plays that were solicited around the same concepts. And that was a totally separate venue, it's a totally separate type of writing. So one is poetry, but one is a series of short plays that premiered for the first time in that venue. So the idea of writing is concomitant with the idea of the visual presentations.
Oh man, I really want to thank you, because I think I've known PJ for quite some time, and she has a very interesting voice, and it as art does, it can speak truth to power, and perhaps in a little more clearly than some people are ready to hear. But it's always difficult to find a place for that to get the exposure it needs so that people can feel something. Because that's what real art does. It's not just hear it and you go on to the next thing, but it makes you feel something at a visceral level. And her art does that. And I'm glad that she was able to do that, and do that through the Mason District Arts Council and the Poetry Slam. So before that June 13th concert, you also had an instrumental petting zoo. And I love this because I'm a musician as well, and we're going to be talking about that in the second half. But audience members could pick up instruments like a violin, viola, cello, bass, and let music kind of come out. So whose idea was that there, and what was the reaction?
So this was part of putting together the concert that Annie Ray did, and Day Violins provided violins and experience for people to come through and touch and play with. The whole point of the music education program was exposing people to the instruments. One of the participants in the performance was a parent orchestra, which is one of the reasons why Annie is well known, is because she created an orchestra of parents whose kids are in orchestra. And then the Adam Buskers were a musical group of students from her classes that performed on their own. It's just the bringing people together in communion. You never quite know what's going to happen. So that was the beauty of all the things, is of how many people can you jam together in a concept to make it something that's fun to do. It's also a great way to build interest in an activity.
Good, because I always enjoy that, especially with Spotlight by Starlight, with all the different acts, where different levels of music and genres all coming there, that it kind of brings that flavor of all over the world into our community. So Supervisor Jimenez has written about the connection between arts engagement and health and well-being of older residents. Particularly in Mason District, which is one of the largest senior populations in Fairfax County. So is that dimension of your work, art as a tool for community health and social connection, is that something that you think about consciously and take intentional act on?
So there are a couple of different things about that. So yes, when we do our festival last year, which we'll do again in October 17th, we set aside some time for seniors who would be bussed in from the NCS facilities or for senior homes to come and be able to walk around the art festival without being encumbered by all kinds of other people running around. So we set aside specific time for seniors to build their interest. Also, we're partnering with Art Lords, which is an entirely different group of people who are very interesting, who are doing art therapy in the church as well, but also the church itself is also doing art programming around senior citizens. So we're just sort of tapping into the demand. There's a lot of demand for that, figuring out different ways to bring, to help meet that community's needs, as well as bring that community into our process.
Okay, so October 17th is the Fall Mason Arts Festival. So I want you to look into this camera over here, and I want you to tell the viewers everything, where it is, what to expect, and what you hope that it becomes.
So on October 17th this year, so in about 3 months from now, we're going to have an art festival that will have music and performances, as well as the displays of about 40 to 50 different artists selling and making their materials available to the public. It's a community art festival, so we'll have lots of people from the community who do their work there. It'll run from 10 till 3. We'll probably set aside that first hour again for senior citizens. We'll have food trucks, the standard sort of festival activities, but it's really intended to be a place for new artists to participate, so they get a chance to learn how to do a tented event, and also more experienced artists in the community to sell their work. So last year's event was very successful. We were really excited in how it went. And so this year I expect it to be a little bit larger. And it's going to be located at 7200 Columbia Pike, which is in downtown Annandale near the ACA Child Development Center, which has a very large parking lot. We set it up in there. Maybe we'll ask you to do the music again this year. We don't know. We'll see how this interview goes.
Always happy to help, Jim.
But anyway, so it'll be another fun thing. We'll have lots of different things. And one thing we're going to emphasize is going to be, we had a lot of community sort of hands-on work for people, and people like that. So I think we'll try to make sure that's a really important component of the event.
Okay, so someone is watching right now that has never heard of the Mason District Arts Council before tonight. Now, I know that you gave them a very powerful introduction, but they love the arts. Maybe they're a painter, a writer, a musician, or someone who wants to be part of something meaningful in the community. What do you say to them? And what do you say, how do they find you?
So we're pretty present. We have a very active website, https://masondistrictarts.org. I'm sure it's going to show up somewhere on this website, on this show. We have Facebook page at Mason District Arts and Instagram. We don't bombard people with information. They can participate at like an organizational level, or they can just come and participate in our activities. So we're really open to everybody.
Okay, James, thank you. Genuinely, thank you. Thank you. So for what you and your fellow volunteers have done to bring arts in the Mason District Arts Council, for doing what you do to create that connective tissue, and for what they choose to do through the arts. So coming up in the second half, more arts, musician, attorney, and community leader right after these messages.
Window. Correction, dude. You broke. I just threw the ball.
This is really bad. What are we gonna do?
We? Go to the door, ask for the ball back.
Are you serious?
It's my ball, Myrtleback.
I'm so dead.
I'd run away.
Yeah, to Uruguay.
Kiss your life goodbye. Sorry.
Let's go. See you, dude. See ya. You remember me and your well.
Nice one. Some friends you are.
Hi. Hi. Tell him it was an accident. And we can fix the window. Come on. I'll come with you.
Loyalty. Pass it on.
You go first.
A message from the Foundation for a Better Life.
One day these rats were playing in the woods. Well, it's a matches and that's no good. Listen to smoke before you give it a try. Only you. Don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Cause there's nothing very funny about rooftop life. Nothing very nice on a homeless mind. So if a gorgeous force is what you desire, don't play with matches. Don't play with fire. Yeah.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
Awkward. I'm the awkward silence. You try to avoid me, then there I am again.
But an awkward silence can be a great thing.
Like Kelly here is about to demonstrate.
You haven't really been yourself lately. Are you okay?
Find out how you can help a friend with their mental health at seizetheawkward.org.
We're back. to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
Welcome back to the Inside Scoop on Fairfax Public Access. I'm Rafael Arancibia. Now we turn on this second half of our program. I want you to stay right here because my next guest has a great story and goes back to the very roots of classical music in this community. Here we go. He has spent more than 30 years as a prosecutor in Prince William County and Fairfax County, 200 jury trials, arguments before the Virginia Supreme Court. But when court's out of session and it adjourns, he goes home and sits behind a drum kit and takes place at the timpani at a full symphony orchestra. Claibourne T. Richardson II, known to his friends as Clay, first served as president of Reunion Music Society in 2016, stepped away from the board for a little bit, and then returned to lead the organization once again as its president. He is the principal timpanist and principal percussionist of the Nova Symphony Orchestra, and my section leader from its very first season. I met you in 95. You are a classically trained on trumpet, percussion, and conducting, having studied under the legendary Frederick Fennell and Frank Del Piano, principal percussionists of the United States Marine Band. And at the very heart of your story, you are the son of the late, great Dr. Claibourne T. Richardson, who co-founded the Reunion Music Society in 1992 and founded and first conducted the Nova Annandale Symphony Orchestra in 1994. Tonight he carries that legacy forward. Clay, welcome to the Inside Scoop.
Thank you. Pleasure being here.
Wow. So I joined then it was the Annandale Symphony Orchestra in summer of 1995. So I was there almost since the very beginning. So I did have the pleasure of meeting your dad. So your father, he co-founded the Reunion Music Society in 1992, the Annandale Symphony Orchestra, then it moved to the Alexandria campus, so that it got rebranded as the Nova Symphony Orchestra. But he was its first conductor. So what's it like to grow up the son of that man? What did it do to help you understand as a young person, like what he was trying to build?
Well, he instilled that you always have a purpose. You always want to bring community together. You are collaborating with your community. You have intellectual pursuits. Music is a great one that brings everything together. Math, science, people, all of the above. I grew up on a college campus when he was a professor there. When we moved to Fairfax, he started the instrumental music program at Lake Braddock. And then at one point he became chairman of the board of Northern Virginia Community College.
Wow, that is really someone who brings intentionality about improving the community, adding to it, and growing it. Mentally, intellectually, spiritually, just really food for the soul. So the name, the Reunion Music Society, has always struck me as very distinctive because it has a purpose. Like, what does reunion mean to you in that context that your father built? And like, what does it mean personally as you carry that legacy forward?
It was intentionally about a family feel, that when you're playing together, you have to have that sort of feel of family. It first got started in the summers of 1977, when high school and college students came back from Lake Braddock and Robinson, and we had a jazz band. And Dad conducted that. Chris's father, Norman Johnston, spearheaded that.
And that Chris is Christopher Johnson, the conductor and director of the orchestra.
Of the Nova Symphony Orchestra, that is correct. Chris Johnson and I went to high school together, and we still play together in his trio. So
talk about some deep-seated connective tissue in the arts community.
And what started the Nova Symphony Orchestra, then the Annandale Symphony Orchestra, President Dick Ernst asked my father to have an orchestra so that the students for Northern Virginia Community College could actually perform in a symphony orchestra.
So the Reunion Music Society, RMS, they have more than one ensemble. So you have the Nova Symphony Orchestra, the RMS Jazz Orchestra, the Chris Johnson Trio, which I know about you guys because you performed for Supervisor Gross on one of the holiday town gatherings that we did. And then the Annandale Brass Ensemble. So for a viewer who's never encountered RMS before, how do you describe what the organization does and what it is and what it does?
Well, part of our main motto is community service through music. And we try to have professional, semi-professional, amateurs, students come together and play together music that is maybe not known, maybe rediscovered, maybe not often played, from different varying backgrounds. We'll play rock, blues, jazz, classical, new music. One of the things that we did was to have students from one of the Fairfax high schools make a composition of a concerto for electric guitar and symphony orchestra.
That was a fun piece. But they are they can be very challenging pieces because their composition style is unconventional.
Yes.
Or they bring new sensibilities and new ways of putting it together and a different musical vocabulary, which may challenge the ways that other musicians in the organization have been classically taught or traditionally are exposed to. So I always found that participating in that orchestra is not what you would normally expect of just like Mozart or maybe a little Gershwin. It's you really going the full breadth of, especially during the summer, you get a variety of different things. So that's what I find remarkable about your position is that you first led this organization as president back in 2016. You step away, you come back, and the entire time, you've never stopped playing. You've never, the drum set in jazz, you have the Chris Johnson Trio, the timpani,
brass
and
ensembles.
like, what does it mean to be both a president of the organization and a musician in the organization that is helping spread art?
Well, you talked about reunion and the idea of family. Well, when you're a part of it, you get to know intimately about what the needs are of the group and where they're trying to go. And we're trying to foster music of different heritages, cultures, everything. And once we see those needs, we try to make sure that the players as well as the audiences get a chance to have an opportunity to have their sort of say as to what they would like to hear and play.
Okay, so this brings it to our next question, which is, your father's work has an equity and access at its core. I mean, and with an orchestra, you have the director and he's conducting, but at its core, it's about access to be able to participate. So now looking at his background, he has NAACP service, the National Association for Colored People, his work on the Nova College Board, the founding of a free community orchestra. How does that social mission live and continue through the Reunion Music Society today? And is the access still as central to what it is now as it was back then?
Even more so, we're trying to grow as much as possible. I think my father, as well as Chris's father, would smile as to where we are now, 30 plus years into this creation. We have collaborated with organizations and ensembles throughout the DC metro area to put on concerts, to play different music, bring in composers. We've commissioned works to be played. So we're trying to make sure that artists get heard. We also have scholarships that we have provided for Northern Virginia Community College. We've tried to work with high schools in the area and middle schools in the area as well.
So you've spent more than 30 years as a prosecutor, deputy Commonwealth's attorney, 200 jury trials, arguments before the Virginia Supreme Court, and you come home and you play drum set and jazz band and timpani with a symphony. So how do those two lives coexist?
It helped me be centered. You know, a lot of times, you have the pressures of all the things in your day-to-day job and work, and to be able to concentrate in the beauty of music, to be a part of a collaboration with a lot of people. You're one of many, to form one beautiful sound. That's the ultimate in having sort of a Zen approach to your life.
You know, that's one of the parts that I really loved about playing. First of all, meeting you and meeting your father and Chris back in the day, is that it kind of gave me that place to expand and play music, and music that I've never played before. And especially during the summer, because then I get to do more show tunes, yeah. But then I would do like classical, and we'd go back and forth. But I really got to grow a little bit more as a musician there, doing certain things that I wouldn't have the opportunity before to do. So I really enjoyed that, and I really missed it when I went away to Virginia Tech, because I wasn't able to continue doing that. So I really love being part of the Nova Symphony Orchestra, and I really enjoyed when I came back to the area to join back up again. It was like there was a significant part of my life that I got to reopen again.
And you came home.
Oh God!
So there's your reunion.
It was, yeah, I know, and that's what's so amazing about it.
And how many places are you going to be able to play full Beethoven's Ninth in the German, as well as do the Afro-American Symphony and Florence Price?
Heard some John Williams.
John Williams.
And some Holt's coming up, but we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
So Clay, thank you for this conversation. It's only getting better. So in the next segment, we're going to talk more about the Nova Symphony Orchestra, what it means to have been inside it since day one, and the events that are coming up later this month. So we'll be right back.
So I just moved in with his family, and it's embarrassing. The little one, he likes to go outside and crawl around in the giant litter box. I don't know what he's doing. I mean, I was born and I knew how to use the litter box. Look at that. That's disgusting. Oh, poop already. You're making me nervous. Oh, okay, I can't look at this anymore. I really hope he grows out of this, for his sake.
So how was work?
It was 1,300 hours. My math class from 302 was in the trenches. Davy Roth had it the worst. Fractions were coming at him left and right. He just didn't get the damn things. 2 days ago, I tried to teach him what 1/4 of 1/2 was, using different sizes of blocks. Yesterday, I tried again by dividing up pizza. Both missions failed.
Oh, no.
But today, I was ready. I created a combat math game where the only way to beat the enemy is to out-fraction them. Davy conquered every last denominator. My game was so successful, the principal is deploying it to math squadrons all over the school. Anywho, how was your day?
Oh, today my boss treated the office to salad wraps.
Salad wraps.
No.
150 over 90.
180 over 111.
160 over 110. I had a stroke.
This is what high blood pressure looks like. You might not feel its symptoms, but the results from a stroke are far from invisible or silent. If you've come off your treatment plan, get back on it, or talk with your doctor to create an exercise, diet, and medication plan that works for you. Go to loweryourhbp.org.
If I would have followed a treatment plan, I would not be in this situation.
We're back to the Inside Scoop. Here again, your host.
And we are back, and this is the final segment of the Inside Scoop on Fairfax Public Access Television. I'm here with Claibourne T. Richardson II, and we are turning now to the Nova Symphony Orchestra, its musicians, its programming, and the events coming up that you need to know about. So, Clay, you are an original member of the Nova Symphony Orchestra, and you were there from the very beginning. Your father stood up on the podium for the first time and started conducting, and you've been the principal percussionist and timpanist ever since, now under Maestro Christopher Johnson, and he's been leading the orchestra since 1996, and I was there for that. So what has it been like to watch the ensemble grow over these past 3 decades?
It's been beautiful. It has grown exponentially and more so than we could have imagined. And the best part about it is that we're able to do even more. Our imagination, it extends where we want to go with it.
Yeah, we have some really, really creative people in there, and just amazing artists, and it gives us the ability to pivot and expand. So this orchestra is a volunteer ensemble, professional musicians playing alongside the adult amateurs and qualified students. So this is the ability to provide mentorship. So does that make it a purely professional organization or not?
It does not. It is, like you said, it's a volunteer organization, and it's the model that my father tried to set up was that everybody learns from everybody else, whether you're a professional or you're a student. There are things that I learn to this day from people that are in the orchestra.
Yeah. So this repertoire is deliberately broad, and I've heard some of the conversations about how you choose some of the next repertoire for the upcoming season. So we got Holst and Mozart and Florence Price and Scott Joplin. So that programming is a philosophy, is a conscious statement, because I've heard some of the conversation about that you need something that reflects what's going on at the time, but you also have some consideration about the acumen and talent of the musicians and giving them the space to grow and experience performing certain types of music as an experience to help them mature as artists. So can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, yes, we're looking at an educational endeavor as well as an entertainment and community endeavor. So, a lot of orchestras play just a set group of composers. We tried to play lesser known composers, composers that you may know, but you haven't heard some of these different pieces that we're playing. We're playing things from William Grant Still, Undine Smith Moore. We've played things from Joe Kennedy Jr. with the Concerto for Jazz Violin and Orchestra. So we have all these different programs that we do. We started we played the Blue Opera. So there are all these different programs that not only stretch all of our people, but also have educational intent as well.
The thing I love about that is that it really creates this really gem of an organization that some people might think would not be available to them in this area. Like you have the National Symphony Orchestra or some high, it's somehow you can never perform at that level, so you can only, the best you could do is maybe at the high school level. But this is a community-based orchestra that has a partnership with the community college, and it's accessible to people, and we can play some really great music, and we have some people in it that have some really great past and ability and skill and acumen that they bring to help make them as more mature musicians, and makes it a more mature organization. So
yes,
for a viewer watching tonight who has never been to an orchestra concert, and who thinks that maybe a symphony is something formal or distant, what would you say? I mean, what is it like to actually be in the room when the Nova Symphony Orchestra plays?
Well, one, we try to make the program accessible to everybody, so that they're going to find something that they like in the whole program. And you get to see the musicians themselves playing the music and enjoying playing the music. It's not a job. This is their passion. This is what they do to get away from a lot of the other things, the pressures that they have at work, and enjoy each other's company, as well enjoy the audience coming to hear them.
I love that. I've always had pleasure performing the music and sharing that and inviting friends to come out to watch our concerts. There's always certain parts, certain musical pieces I love playing, like John Williams' Empire Strikes Back. Every drummer's got to love the Imperial March.
Right.
But we're going to be doing some other very interesting pieces coming up this fall, and we'll get to that in a minute. But we also have some other things coming up later this month. So we have a video that was put together. I almost said composed, but put together. So it has the musicians in their own words. So let's can we cut to the video and hear?
We've played here in Schlesinger Hall. We've played in backyards. We've played at libraries, and we've also played out in the parks.
I found that this orchestra was very much like a family. There have been tremendous relationships that have been built up between the players.
Getting this community is really valuable to me. Once a week, hanging out with musicians is a great part of my week.
I live in Haymarket, so I've learned that everywhere is far from me, and it's worth the drive if you're going to find an orchestra to be in.
It's a nice mix of people. Like, you have some people who have a professional background, you have students. It is not stressful here. There's no yelling like other orchestras.
You get the opportunity to play a lot of different things. Like, I didn't play bass clarinet before I came to the orchestra. I play it now.
Many a times I've helped people who are not as advanced as I am as a player, but I welcome them with open arms, and we try to work together as a team.
Join the orchestra.
I love that. Yeah. And it's the William Tell Overture. So if you've never seen Looney Tunes, oh my goodness.
A lot of times, I'm of the age group where you heard a lot of your orchestral pieces through the cartoons in the beginning.
I know, but like that particular piece is like, it goes faster and things are falling apart. And that's what it feels like sometimes, but it's such a rush to play that music and to play, to work, to produce it at that level, to perform it at that level with people that you trust and been working with for so long to produce something at that caliber is truly a pleasure and an honor. Because there are not that many organizations that would be readily accessible to the community to be part of. So I've always been felt blessed to be part of the Nova Symphony Orchestra, Annandale Symphony Orchestra, now Nova Symphony Orchestra. So I want to make sure I thank you, thank Christopher Johnson, and thank your dad.
Thank you.
God bless his soul. So let's talk about this upcoming season, where we have a concert coming up this season.
Yes. For the summer, we have 2 concerts. One is at Lord of Life Lutheran Church, and that's July 26th at 4 p.m. and then at Mason District Park on July 31st at 7:30 p.m.
And we can find that on the Reunion Music Society website,
which is reunionsociety.org.
Okay, so and those are 2 free concerts, and I heard that the performance at the church there's going to be lots of ice cream. So.
Yes, and one of the things that you'll hear is a composition that was commissioned by RMS, that was written by the music director, composed by the music director, Chris Johnston, called Stormalong, which is great for the family and the kids. It's a tall tale set to music. Think of Peter and the Wolf.
Or Paul Bunyan. But yeah, that is a particularly amazing little piece, and I'm so blessed to have been part of performing it. It's something that was created locally, but I think it's really, really just a fantastic gem. So, and then this fall, we're playing Holt's The Planets.
All of the planets. A lot of times you'll only hear Mars or one or the other. We're going to do the entire piece.
Not just Jupiter, not just Mars, but the whole galaxy of options.
Yes. With video, there will be a talk before the concert from people who are in the know about the galaxy.
And so you know that's 7 movements, and each one represents one of the different planets. And each one is just a vivid intonation that is evocative of those planets, a portrait of each planet and a mythological deity that it represents.
And the orchestra will be joined by a choir as well.
Ooh. An orchestra with a choir. That's even better. That's even better. Okay, so we're getting to wrap up tonight, but so that's just fantastic. So we have 2 concerts coming up this summer, and it's the orchestra performs as part of the summer entertainment series with the Park Authority.
Yes.
And you've been doing that the entire time. So that is tremendous.
Over 30 years.
Yeah, I know. Okay, so before we wrap up tonight, Clay, I just want to thank you for being here on these free events and the information about these upcoming events happening later this month. The Nova Symphony Orchestra is performing at the Lord of Life Lutheran Church on Sunday, July 26th, and then Friday, July 31st at Mason District Park Amphitheater. Thank you for being here with us on the Inside Scoop.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
And we'll see you next time.